Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regular weekly podcast and Knowledge Empowers. Today with you is me, Kat. 안녕하세요. Then we have Baruch.
Hello.
And we have Kolaj.
Dobre ráno. Good morning, everyone. Kat, do you know what this book is? you should remember that one. It is a bit special.
Is this the Daniel Goleman Emotional Intelligence?
Yep, that's the one I've got from you.
Is it this one?
It is. It's the one you've bought me. Have you actually finished yours already?
No, not yet.
Oh, I actually plan to buy it as well. We can be book siblings.
Okay, interesting.
Is it a good book?
I will actually. I'm ordering one for a colleague, so I'm gonna order one for you as well.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Katka, how far have you got?
More than half.
More than half. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember what or let's do then refresh,
Okay.
so that you can return to the book.
Oh, are we on exam? Are we on the exam?
So do you remember what was it about? Maybe we can do some review for Baruch.
Okay, so mostly what I like this book is about. So it's called Emotional Intelligence, but Daniel Goleman also explains not only your emotions, what's happening in certain situation, but also he's taken apart from biology perspective as well, showing what kind of hormones are currently, how to say, at highest responsible in your body. And therefore, if you're not able to attack the emotion, so let's say you are angry or really so your adrenaline is really high and you are not able to control your anger. What you can control is the hormone. So how to get rid of adrenaline? Do some cardio. So go running, go jumping, do something, half an hour. And suddenly you literally will realize I'm not angry anymore, or my anger really lowered down. So if you are not able to attack the emotion, you can attach from the biological perspective, right? So the hormone.
Yeah, and he also puts a structure around emotional intelligence. It's that it's not just all together, but also brings some clarity on how things works and how you can train this emotional intelligence. That it's not just all the full package and you have to deal with it somehow. So he was first one to somehow categorize it. Can you imagine how these categories or what these categories are when it comes to emotional intelligence? Like how it's split?
I'm not sure if I remember that one, but the one that really struck to me, for example, was when your emotion hijacked your brain. And in our brain, we have this almond-shaped thing called amygdala. And that silly thing is there because of the evolution. And sometimes that thing is actually hijacking our brain and hijacking our emotions. And there is this word in English called I see red. That's when you are either so angry or upset that suddenly you do something, but you don't even remember that you did it. And that's what the amygdala does. But I don't know what categories.
Yeah, well, Goleman was looking on it from me perspective and others' perspective. So first of all, when it comes to me, you need to be able first recognize what the emotion is, and then how to handle it. So that's why it's the self-recognition or more of a recognition of the emotion in myself, how it feels, what it is, so that I can describe it. And then the second step is the regulation. And the same goes for the others. First, you need to be able to recognize what emotions they are going through. And then you can regulate it or somehow play with it. So those are the 4 categories. My emotions, description of them and regulating them, recognizing others' emotion and regulating those. And he later on added a 5th one, which is a motivation. So that's actually using all 4 parts together so that you can motivate yourself or the others. So these are the 5 categories there when it comes to that. And you were talking.
Was it mentioned somewhere on any page?
I don't think it's mentioned on a specific page. I think that it's around the whole book written. I don't think that it's somehow like this is maybe in the end, I don't know.
It's because you didn't finish it, Ken.
Yeah, could be.
Well, I just opened the page and there is following sentence. Those who are at the mercy of impulse, who lack self-control, suffer a moral deficiency.
It's basically proven, right? That's it's not just moral deficiency. It's like it was proven that people with high emotional intelligence are basically more successful in work because they have that social skills that sometimes high IQ people don't have. Sometimes.
I've just read an article. Someone shared, I think on LinkedIn. And it was actually that people with high EQ, I probably need to read it one more time because I'm not sure I understood it correctly, but how I understood it is that people with higher EQ are like not good managers because you tend to pamper people, you are not able to challenge them properly because you don't want to hurt them, and you also incline more to burnout. But I need to read that article one more time because I totally disagreed with everything. I was a damn good manager and I was not afraid to challenge people.
And you were close to burnout.
And I fired people. So EQ helps you understand people, doesn't make you weak. It just makes you better understand them, but that doesn't mean that you will not perform your job correctly.
I agree with you. I would like to see that article because emotional intelligence doesn't say anything about adversity quotient, which is something, what is the resilience about? And that's the, like how you deal with the burnout and stress and everything. So exactly. I think that's a separate category. But we are talking about two things, and we are mentioning emotions a lot and feelings a lot. What's the difference? Is there a difference?
Aren't feelings isn't one of them short term and the other one long term? Or more short term?
I hate when someone does this question to me. It was same on the motor course I was on Sunday, and the teacher did the same thing. So what can you tell me if I would sit on your motorbike, I can change on the bike? What kind of question is that? I don't know. The first thing I do is the mirror, and then I'm done. And what else? What else can I do on a motorbike? I don't know. You can put the petrol in.
True. Baruch, unfortunately, no. Or at least that's what I haven't found out. What I know is that, there is a different definition for each of those. Different emotion is something else than feeling, although we use them simultaneously, but it's not the same. Okay. For emotion, it's the first thing you get through your mind, and it's unconscious response from your body. Yeah, that's the emotion. Yep. So you see something happening, and your unconscious reply to that. So it's fight or flight. That sort of response, which you are not really in charge of and not really mindful about. That's the emotion. Feeling is when you say I'm frustrated, because that is conscious reply, talking already how you feel. So that's the difference, which makes it a bit more interesting for me to explore these two areas, because, then there is something you can't control at all in your body. And when you see something, the reaction is immediate.
So can you give us some examples? Like, for example, I am going to cross the road and suddenly there is a car and I didn't notice it. I will.
Well, when you turn your head and you see the car is running towards you, for example, you freeze instantly. That's the instinct. So that's
flight or fight mode.
Yeah, that's what they consider an emotion.
So how about I'm watching a romantic movie and it's not ending well, so I start crying.
It's not a romantic movie. That's a trilogy. No,
that's the middle of a romantic movie.
Tragedy.
There needs to be some.
It's a tragedy, exactly.
Some drama. Well, I would say that's more, it's still emotion until you realize it or until you start to process it. Oh, I feel sad or something like that. So until you don't put conscious mind on that, until then it's an emotion. That's based on how I understand the definition.
Basically, it's about your awareness, what makes emotion a feeling.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, and that's why I've got to, and I want to know your opinion. What comes first, feelings or thought?
Feelings, no?
Feelings, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And why, Baruch? Why do you think that the feelings come first?
Because I think they come from the more primitive brain than the thought.
Okay. Katka?
Or we start thinking about it once we feel it. Like you start then consciously analyzing what it is that I
what
feel.
thought. What thought are we talking about?
No, thoughts could be like, I'm frustrated, I'm sad, or this makes me angry, these thoughts. What comes first, the anger or the thought?
I think that comes after, because that's when you start analyzing what you are feeling.
Are we going to be surprised, Kate? Watch.
Are we going to what?
Actually, there is no right answer for this.
You son of a...
The parts are... like from the biological perspective, what you said, the sensory inputs, so what you see, what you hear, what you can touch, comes first to the emotional center and then to neocortex, then you can think about it. So from the biological perspective, first comes the emotion and the feelings, and then you can actually analyze it, then you can actually think about it. But there are multiple psychological disputes about this, because there is, for example, cognitive behavior therapy, where they assume, or the whole overview of it is that when you see something, there is some sort of a belief towards what you see and how you interpret it. Based on that, you have a feeling. So the whole cognitive behavioral therapy works on changing on the belief so that you can feel different. So that somebody says you're an asshole, you don't feel angry or sad or frustrated, but you say, oh, it's okay. So there is no right or wrong answer with this, because it depends on what you choose as the establishment of this, whether it's the biological perspective or psychological, philosophical ones, and how you look on it.
Okay. So does it actually mean I'm able to control my emotions? Like before they actually rise?
I think they rise, but what you are able to train is not to show it.
I wouldn't say show it, but I would say that you are able to define different behavior or different reaction towards the emotion, because somebody has that when I'm angry, I'm screaming, which when it comes to authenticity or that your character, you don't want to shout to people. So you need to redefine sort of the behavior you want to do. So when I feel angry, I'm not shouting anymore, but I am gonna punch the wall and I don't know, walk away. And that's conditional.
I have a friend who, whenever she breaks up with a boyfriend, her breaks up needs to be like hysterical. That she like.
Does she break up with the boyfriend like once per month?
No. But she, like, for her to really make it an end, she throws like a tantrum, like, and you did this and blah 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 and maybe even throw a plate or whatever.
Venting.
Yeah, and that means closure. Whereas I would be like, why? and I asked her, like, why? I'm like, that means closure for her. Otherwise, it wouldn't be the end. So each of us have different kind of emotions towards and to end something and to make it an end.
True. Yep, I totally agree with that. Everybody has different habits and rituals, even rituals, I would say, like waking up, you make a coffee, you have a breakfast, and then you're ready for work. Until I have my coffee, I am not ready.
Oh, yeah. I am that type of a person because even my boss and that's like 6 hours difference. And many times instead of her sleeping at 3 a.m., she pinged me. So that was 9 a.m. my time, like, Kat, can you do this? And I actually need to have a second coffee. So I was like, I just came to work. What? And so thankfully, because I was a manager, what my response to her was like, go to sleep. Go to sleep. Once you wake up, whatever you need from me will be done. Let me have my morning the way I need it. Otherwise, I'll be non-functional. You are putting too much stress on me, and I just arrived. You supposed to sleep. Go to sleep. It's only 5 minutes. I don't care your 5 minutes. I will not do it. No way. You are putting me into stress for nothing. I can't wait. Go to sleep. Okay, I'm going to sleep. Because of course, if it would be super urgent, not a problem. But what I'm trying to say by this is don't let others put a stress on you for sake of something if there is literally no stress. And we are the one allowing this to do to us by other people just because we don't stand our own ground. It was like in previous podcasts, we were saying that you can manipulate young people. And it's like you either create this competition. Oh, he stayed 9 hours, I'll stay 10, or I'll show I can do this, or blah, blah, blah. But you are only doing this to yourself. Or in other words, you would leave office, let's say at 4, and then people would be giving you these stares like, where are you going? Why are you leaving at 4? You told me 4. Did I do my job? I did. Bye. Why are you creating this guilt in me? For what? What did I do to you? You mind your own business, your own work. I'm minding my own work. Did I do my job? I did. Done. Don't create a guilt in someone. Many parents do this with their kids. You don't call me. Why didn't you call me? And you could reply, well, you could call me. It's like, why are you creating this guilt in me? What's the point? That's not showing a love,
That's exactly what you're describing here when it comes to the emotional intelligence, to recognize your own feelings. Like you were saying, why are you making me feel guilty? That's a recognition of the emotion. And then you also were talking about self-regulation in terms of, I'm not going to do that because I would feel stressed or something like that. I'm totally refusing to do that. So you are self-aware of the emotion and self-regulating yourself. So you're already using it. So that's...
And very hard is when I was manager and my team leader, which and we're gonna mention Fishka again. He had his own style of work, which was total opposite of my style of work. And it made me inside, I was like, I'm gonna punch you. I'm gonna punch you. This is... But I really realized the feeling that it's creating me. And I had to go like, no, you need to let him be. He has his own style. He will deliver what you want. He will focus on the delivery, not how. That's the same way I want my morning, that I will have my second coffee and then I'm ready. He needs his way. Stop focusing on that. You gave him a task, but he focused on something else, come after. And it took me time until I stopped focusing on that. And I had to make always conscious reminder of myself, let him be. Don't you dare to speak up, don't you dare to let him be. Because if you want to be a good manager, you need to let people do it their way. Focus on the result. That's their task, not how. Each of us is unique, let them be. But for you to cope with that, that's a different story. And that was very hard, very hard.
Yeah.
How did you manage?
We need to invite Fisher and ask him But I think I did. I really let him be. But I was consciously telling myself, let him be, let him be.
It's cool because you've developed a system, basically how to overcome the emotion. You developed all your own rituals, like, okay, I need to remind myself. You developed your own ritual, like, I'm gonna ping Fisho and then let him go. And you know, and by experience, you learn that it's not a bad thing, you know, to do that. And I guess then you started to apply it also to the others. Like, it's not just Fisho like that; it's others. Yeah.
But he was my closest because he was not only sitting opposite to me, but the closest, because I was giving him guidance what we're planning to do with which employee, blah blah blah. And so I've seen it, right? I was like, letting me.
And you certainly developed in sort of mindfulness as well, mind awareness, mindfulness awareness there, and which really is interesting because what the study shows is that if you practice mindfulness, you are not getting rid of the emotion, you know, like you still feel angry or you still feel sad or you still feel, yeah, whatever. It's just that with the mindfulness techniques or something like that, you feel it much shorter period of time. So like you said, don't be angry with him, or let's not be angry with him because he will deliver at the end. You still felt angry, you just felt it in a short time. And what studies show is that it's a bit more intensive than when you don't do it. So you show it in much shorter period of time, but it's more visible because you realize it, you leave it for a moment, but then you let it go. That's probably also why the girl was cathartic at the end of the, or giving the tantrum at the end of the at the end of the relationship. So yeah, like now I can be fully emotional, but that's it, and I don't have to be anymore. Yeah, and that's it. And cut it. But since we are talking about these emotions, feelings, and we were mentioning like anger, sadness, whatsoever, how many emotions are there? Or what emotions can you recall?
6. Is it?
What did you say about it?
Anger, sadness,
happy,
happy, yes. There is disgust, right? There is what we didn't mention. Shock, yes. Thank you, collage.
Right. Yeah.
And I think there is one more. Is there one more? Or is it just 5?
afraid,
Fear.
fear.
And there is one more.
There's one more, okay.
Why are there more negative than positive? There's just one happiness.
That's one happiness. The last one is contempt, which was added.
Contempt.
Yeah.
Isn't it like disgust, basically?
No. This disgust is that doesn't smell good, doesn't taste good. Contempt is that your ego is better than, or you are better than someone else. You know, like.
So it's like more narcissistic.
Yeah. I can do it. You can't. I'm good.
Okay.
So that one was added. And I'm gonna disagree here.
With what?
With how many emotions we have.
Okay.
With this Ekman study, because how he done the experiment is that he took the photos, he made the photos of these emotions, and then he created these labels like anger, fear, joy, and put it in front of people, gave them the photos, and now you split them among the emotions. So what the trouble here is that he already labeled, he created those boxes, and people were just then adding what belongs to where. It was. Yep.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Isn't it that's just 7 basic emotions? I don't think he ever said there are just.
He is saying that there is just 7 basic emotions. 7 basic emotions which everybody has.
Yeah, but he's not denying there are others. Yes, but
it's not about others. It's that these might not be the basic.
Yes, right. So you are saying there are more basic emotions.
No.
Okay.
I'm saying that it's hard to say, or he said that there is 7 and universal. So like everybody's human.
Okay.
Which might not be true because the experiment was done again. by a group of people in some Saharian tribe, whatever. I don't know where exactly in Africa. But what they've done is that they removed the labels and they just gave them photos and then put them together in a group and named the group. And suddenly fear was together with sadness. Some of the photos from the fear were together with sadness. The same goes for the anger. Some of them were mixed up. So it's joy was with the shock sometimes, So this study showed that the universality as Ekman had them might not actually be so true as we thought so.
But it doesn't mean that what you've said, that people are not every person is able to recognize the emotion the same way. Like when you've said they put fear and sadness together, and so some might see sadness as a fear, and a fear as a sadness.
Yep.
That they are not able to, unless they would ask you, how do you feel sad?
Yep. Something
I
like
thought you
that.
are feared or something.
Yep. So this, I still like Ekman's study, and I'm still going forward to that because I like that there is something which is connecting us all together. It's a nice thought that there is something universal for all of us, and that's how we can connect. So
there is this series that Baruch shared with me. I forgot the name. Was it True?
Lie to Me.
Lie to Me.
Yeah.
And Lie to Me. We will put it in as a comment.
That's actually based on Ekman's study.
Yes, it is.
And I really liked it that they I don't know whether it's true because it's serious, right? But they really follow the micro expressions and your eyes. And there are people who are really able to read faces and really good with identifying emotions within the person, or when you're fidgeting too much or making yourself. Sometimes we can feel that you're in a crowd of people, but by one person you feel like that person is weird, and you don't know why or any. You just feel like I need to go away. That just doesn't feel right, and you need to run away. But you are not able to identify why, because either you're not trained or it's just that feeling.
Yeah, actually, the thing you mentioned, the micro expressions, is funny thing how he discovered them. I'm not sure if you know, but he was a psychologist or psychiatrist with patients who were suffering depression, and I think it was one patient which triggered him the most because the person killed himself. Like he was on the therapy with the patient seemed happy, or the client seemed happy, really happy. So he released the person, and the person killed themselves the next day. And when he was rewatching the video, he noticed that there was this subconscious movement of a face, which actually was caused by the real emotion there. And he started analyzing those and checking out those. So through this personal trauma, he started to discover that, yep, there are these micro expressions, which leads to universal emotions, and the study behind that.
You mean in the Lie to Me?
Yep. It's mentioned in the Lie to Me.
That was his mother.
In Lie to Me, it was his mother. I don't think that in reality it was his mother. I'm not sure. So maybe they just made it emotional. I haven't read that on the pages. But you mentioned that some people are better at it, or so you can train it, and it's interesting that kids or children which are raised in family where there is abuse, physical or mental, are better at reading the emotions because they need to develop it to read the room, to read the parents. So they are much better at reading the emotions and being these natural detectors than other people. Because
they know what triggers the anger, otherwise they would be beaten up or something.
Yep, when they entered, when father or mother came to the room, they needed to instantly read what's the emotion so they can adapt to the situation, so they can survive. This survival instinct developed this reading.
And that's how we could end this session. So very, very strong one.
Cool.
Guys, if you liked it, if you have your own story, share that with us. Otherwise, I'm gonna say sukashasmida.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Čaute všetci.
This podcast represents our own opinions, experience, and our own ideas. We do not represent any official statement from our employers, and this is not their official channel representing the company.